What up, nerds, and welcome to another nuclear episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 376, recorded Monday, June 20th, 2022. Tonight, we're talking about the winner of the June poll, which was Threads from 1984. Before we get into the review, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got our boy, Randu. What's up, man?
Chaos reigns.
Hello, friends. Thank you for being on this podcast of my choosing.
Man, I can't wait to hear you explain yourself. Whew.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a rousing and arousing conversation.
Mostly arousing. I'm already aroused.
Yeah. I know, man. You operate at a high level. I give you that.
Never really turns off. Last but not least, calling in from South Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Fallout Stains. Hey, Bob. Am I more than you bargained for yet? I've been dying to tell you anything you want to hear, because that's just who I am this week.
I've been going to tell you anything.
Wow. Do you remember there was a shitty video made in Flash
about the shitty lyrics?
Yeah, about how shitty the lyrics were, but it was also the shittiest video ever made.
That was old school YouTube.
Yeah, that was just straight emo hate too, which is not in vogue anymore.
Yeah.
We're bringing it back tonight.
And it's also a little outdated in a few ways.
Tell you,
but that song, man,
dig it.
Going downtown in a Lululemon.
I still don't know the actual words.
I think it's earlier round.
We're going down in an earlier round, and sugar, we're going down swinging. I'll be your number one. With a bullet, a loaded god complex, cock it and pull it.
Ooh, not much better than the fake words.
I think the fake words are more fun, at least.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Oh, boys. Before we get into the movie, let's tackle some housekeeping. This is almost your last reminder. We got a poll pick, our July poll pick, currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this July. The theme for July is Animals Run Amok, and the movies to vote between are Lake Placid, Arachnophobia, and Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, Bob, how those numbers looking?
About the same. Placid on top, Arachnophobia in the mid, and Island of Dr. Moreau in last place.
Damn,
nobody likes the good doctor.
I can't believe John Goodman's getting all this hate.
People hate.
Man, you are a politician at heart. It's so obvious to me.
Yeah.
How can you hate a man so much as to not vote for him as your favorite?
Haunt the vote, eh, boys?
Well, they're just casting their votes for Betty White.
That's true.
Betty Whiteman.
She's a fancy flapjack.
I'm not familiar, but
fancy flapjack.
I'm not familiar, but she sounds racist.
I'm not familiar. Boy, you really
pure politician.
You really ought to be running a campaign.
Politician stains. Betty Neutral should have changed her last name if she really cared.
Betty Diversity is my name.
Betty Equality. Get your votes in before the end of the month. We'll see what we're talking about this July. In other Patreon news, we're going to be dropping a new mini-cast this Friday. If you support us at the $10 level or above, you get access to a whole back catalog of Patreon-exclusive episodes. This is going to be our 69th mini-cast dropping this Friday. And it's a good one.
Well,
69, dudes!
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What was it?
We got our boy Soju Stains on the mic this Friday. He's going to be talking to you about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Whoa, we're finally getting in the MCU with old 69, huh?
Finally.
Oh, boy. The people have been clamoring for more MCU content, and we are here to provide.
We're here so late in the game to provide for you.
Dude, Wes is going to be excited.
Yeah.
Yes, he will.
Yeah. I'm sure he's not going to be the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out this Friday on our Patreon website. And if you do support us, you get an RSS feed emailed to you. You can drop that into your podcatcher of choice and listen to that episode wherever you prefer to do so. In other Patreon news, we have not one, but two new Patreon supporters.
The Lord.
Oh, shit.
Thank them.
Keep that money flowing.
Thank the Lord.
Can't launder without patrons.
We're laundering so much money. Big thanks to Lisa R. and Grubby C for signing up on Patreon and showing us some love. It really does help us keep the show going. We appreciate the hell out of it. And as is tradition around these parts, we owe you both a straight chilling salute. These go out to Lisa and Grubby. Here we go.
Slap me in the ass. Oh, God. Slap me in the ass.
Oh, God. Thank you.
You guys are helping me launder all that money from all these, Korean skincare goods. I'm peddling the black market.
Oh, I thought it was from the gun runners that fund your campaigns.
Well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Oh, boy. Real Renaissance man.
Allegedly.
Got so many angles, it's almost just a curve.
Almost.
I live my life.
Almost just a politician. Thank you guys. We really do appreciate it. In other Patreon news, we got a lot of Patreon news. This is a big one. We're bringing back the You Pick the Flick tier.
Oh, God. Get ready to kick your grandma down the stairs, Black Friday style.
That's all we ask. Every grandma kicked is a movie picked.
People
Get out of the way, Grandma. It's time for.
They go shopping downstairs in their own homes. Like, get out of the way, fucking granny.
This is the sort of thing that you could live to regret saying on a public forum.
Nah.
Unless running for office, then you're fine.
Impenetrable.
We're reopening the You Pick the Flick tier on Patreon this Sunday, June 26th at an undisclosed time of day. This is the only way you can outright pick a movie for us to review on the show. There's only 5 spots available per quarter, and this is going to be obviously for the third quarter of 2022. You're just going to have to check our Patreon website throughout the course of the day on Sunday, June 26th. And if the tier's open, go ahead and grab yourself a spot. And
buddy, be quick.
Yeah.
Be quick.
They go quick, yeah. Oftentimes...
That is not a sales pitch. There's a lot of butthurt at the end of the day.
Yeah. They oftentimes go within a minute or two.
To make a move.
Yeah. They go quick. Also, just to recap some stuff that we added to the You Pick this year. If you do grab one, we've got a brand new enamel pin that we created. The only way you can get it is if you grab one of our You Pick spots. We send that out to you. We also send you out a custom VHS sticker with the title of the movie you chose on there, with our rating and the date we recorded it and all the pertinent information. We send that to you as well.
Around here, that means big money.
And we're also encouraging you guys to send us an email or a voicemail with your own rating and review, basically, of the movie that you chose for us to talk about. Out of 0 to 5 stars. I doubt you'd pick a 0-star movie for us to talk about, but who knows?
This movie sucks. Fuck you guys.
Fuck y'all. Just tell us your thoughts about it, and we'll read your email on the show or play your voicemail as well. That I think it pretty much covers the You Pick. General Mangs, do you have anything else you want to add? Did I forget?
I was just going to say it's the best $100 you'll ever spend.
It is not $100.
If you pledge now, Juice will double your money.
Juice will vanish.
You'll be a mega patron.
Mega patron. The last thing I have here is big thanks to everybody that hung out for Joe Bob this past Friday. We've been doing our watch parties just about every Friday. We're taking this coming Friday off, but we're going to be back for the final Joe Bob watch party of the season on Friday, July 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendars for that. Hopefully he plays some bangers to close out the season for us.
What's the best movie he showed so far this season?
That's a tough one. The Nosferatu double feature really sticks out in my mind. I enjoyed that quite a bit, to be honest.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that one.
Yeah.
Well, with some of the picks Joe Bob goes with, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's all we got. Our house is clean.
Clean?
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking about Threads, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
All right, ladies and gents. Threads from 1984. This was a made-for-TV movie, which I guess we should say, Rainey, that was the theme for your takeover month, was horror movies made for TV, right?
That's true, yeah.
And this beat out, what else did you pick? Body Bags?
Tea bags.
Tea bags, as Justin has redubbed it.
And Duel.
And Duel. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, this movie was actually like, and I may have already said this already in the process of the voting, but this was the movie I was hoping would win. This is the whole reason I chose that category, is so that I would have an excuse to get this particular movie on the podcast, and so we could talk about it.
Hashtag rigged.
Hashtag rig, yeah.
Talking Mr. Politician over there.
Okay, all right. Only one of us has actively offered bribes for their picks. So.
True.
That's true.
So we are indeed talking about Threads. This was directed by Mick Jackson. This was written by Barry Hines. Stars Karen Meager, Reese Dinsdale, David Brearley, and some other folks. Plot synopsis brought to us by IMDb is as follows. The effects of a nuclear holocaust on the working class city of Sheffield, England, and the eventual long-term effects of nuclear war on civilization. What a terrible synopsis that is. Gentlemen, had you seen this movie before, and would you recommend people check it out? Randu, kick us off, man.
No, I had not. I mean, the reason I was interested in this movie is because this seemed like the one that we could have a good conversation around, just based on everything I had heard about it secondhand. I've just seen this name pop up here and there in conversations about movies that are considered the scariest movies somebody has ever seen. So yeah, in that regard, that's what made me want to choose it. It's first time for me. And yeah, I would recommend it, but it's on a very qualified basis that this is in many ways, I hesitate to say educational film, but it is in some way, it feels like that. It feels like something that is passing along pretty important information.
I saw it described as a docudrama. That might kind of help contextualize it.
Yes, it feels like it's speculative documentary. It's really what it is. It's speculating about what would happen if, with as much realistic speculation as possible, based on the work of scientists like I saw Carl Sagan's name at the end of the credits. So there's a whole bunch of professors and stuff involved in this thing. So go in with that understanding that this is not a typical narrative or anything like that, or even it's hard to classify this movie. But yes, I would recommend it.
All right, Juice, what about you?
I had never seen this before. Randy was hyping it up quite a bit leading up to this. And I would recommend, under the idea of you are interested in seeing the most real, grounded, realistic type of nuclear apocalypse that I have seen. This isn't your Mad Max Fury Road. It is very much, as grounded as possible. And so, yeah, I mean, it's quality. I thought it was very effective for what it's trying to do. I thought it accomplished its goal very well, in a very disturbing sense, but it is in no way an entertaining or light watch by any means. So it purely, kind of like Randy said, It purely is like, to me, kind of like educational or informative rather than entertaining. So yeah, that's kind of a weird place to kind of be in, but yeah, it's kind of what it is.
It's a very unusual movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I think was made for. So yeah, yeah. So
Bob, how about you?
Recommend.
Kind of. All right. Yeah, this was a first time watch for me. This movie really wasn't on my radar until Randy started talking about it. And it seemed to have quite a bit of clout. And I was definitely interested in watching it. But this just didn't work for me at all, really. This is a hard pass. Like, I would not recommend this to just about anybody, honestly. I see what they're going for, but I think it kind of fails on almost every level, in my opinion. I would much rather just watch like an outright documentary or like, read like a scientific journal about, the effects of nuclear fallout or something like that. Than watch this movie.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought it was just stumbled on the new lodge, haven't we?
It didn't work for me, really at all. So.
I thought it was just because you're too positive, Bob. You just don't want to see the truth in front of your eyes.
I desperately try to remain an optimist. It gets harder every day. This movie didn't help, that's for sure. I don't know. That sounds like a medium to a no recommend from us. I don't know. A couple.
No, that sounds like a no from you and a yes from two other people.
That sounds like a good seesaw recommend.
A medium recommend.
A medium recommend.
All right, we'll go with a medium recommendation from the Straight Chilling crew. We are gonna spoil the shit out of this movie, so be warned right now.
Spoiler warning.
Well, despite the content, now that we know that we can tease Bob, this should be a pretty entertaining episode.
Oh, yeah. we found our inroad to entertainment.
Let's just
Bob,
bust
do you
Rob's
have that?
balls. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
It's
that
a safe
plot
option, but we'll
synopsis?
take it.
I got the plot synopsis, and I gotta say, like, as I'm reading through this, it almost works exactly as if you were watching the movie, because there's like a lot. We'll get into it, but anyway, I'll get through the plot. Here we go. So this movie is set in Sheffield, England. Our characters Ruth and Jimmy, we find them discussing getting married due to an unplanned pregnancy. We overhear on the radio broadcast that the Soviet Union has invaded Iran. The U.S. eventually gets involved, escalating tensions, and that results in the use of nuclear warheads by both sides. This leads to panic and looting in Britain, who does enact the Emergency Powers Act, and British leaders eventually go underground for safety. A warhead explodes over the North Sea, causing communications damages, and finally, a NATO military target 17 miles from Sheffield is attacked. We see a massive mushroom cloud, and at that moment, around 12 to 30 million UK residents die. An hour later, winds carry fallout throughout Sheffield. Then jumps to a month later, the dead begin to pile up as rats swarm and carry diseases. The sun is eventually blocked out, causing temperatures to plummet, which is also known as a nuclear winter. A year later, the sun returns, but it carries higher UV rays, making skin cancer and cataracts major concerns. Food becomes the only form of currency. Our character Ruth eventually flees to the countryside. She does end up giving birth alone, where she chews off her umbilical cord. 10 years later, there's only 4 to 11 million British residents remaining, which is a population level that rivals that of medieval times. There's no real formal education, and we see some kids speaking in broken English. They're also watching some sort of educational program on the TV. Ruth ends up dying. She's now survived by her 10-year-old daughter, Jane. We see Jane and 2 other boys steal some bread. They try to escape, but one of the boys is killed. Jane and the other surviving boy end up fighting over the bread in a barn, and it devolves into them having intercourse. Jane eventually gives birth to that child in a makeshift hospital, and she looks upon her baby in horror as the credits do roll. Just a nice,
be prepared to be bedazzled.
Nice breezy watch.
I'm bedazzled. Yeah, so to kind of touch on Rob's point, especially since it gave the plot synopsis, I think I'll be a little bit of the middleman here. But I thought where maybe this movie lost a little bit of its punch was once it had to go past a month outside the initial blast or whatever, once it kind of gets into the futuristic types of things, like mostly the daughter running around, which is not much time at all. 5 to 10 minutes of the mom kind of giving birth. And that I thought the initial, once the bomb dropped and like it was immediate, and the city and kind of the immediate looting that kind of happened after that, people looking for food stuff. I thought that was super effective, finding the people in the kind of bunker that they had made and stuff like that. That stuff, seemed on par, but it seems like the further away and the more speculative they had to get, I thought the quality dropped kind of significantly with that. But it's really like the last 10, 15 minutes. In what way? Of like, I guess it didn't feel, not that it didn't feel as grounded. I guess it just felt less impactful because a lot of it was through the implications of the text. Like one thing that comes to mind, or two things, where it was talking about the current currency is food, and the only way to get food is if it can work, and the more it can work. We don't really see a lot of that. Then, like, we spend most time leading up to the blast, and then after the blast it kind of moves into a more rapid pace, and so the consequence was we kind of burn through them pretty quickly, and most of it is through text and imagination. We have to imagine what it's like to be a worker. We don't follow a character necessarily going through those struggles and those kinds of things. So I think it does kind of drop off on that way. I mean, not in any significant way, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
I don't agree at all.
I think this,
like, who do you think
Ruth? You follow Ruth and Ruth's progeny. The whole point of this thing is to show what happens after a nuclear blast. It's not about the lead up to the nuclear blast. We all know what's terrifying.
It is about the lead up, because we spent 50 minminutes with the fucking lead up, dude. It's
an hour
way
and a
too
half
much
movie.
time. It is a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, so that's halfway. That's less than halfway through the movie.
It's just like way too much time with the lead up, man. If the point of this movie is to like show the horrors of nuclear war and the effects thereafter, I don't need 50 minutes building up to the nuclear war. Like, give me 15 or 20, and then like show me the characters. Well, the thing is,
totally
man,
disagree on that.
like the things that are happening are largely narrated or just actual text on screen. I'd rather spend time, like more time than we do, with these characters and like living with them in their day to day and like dealing with these horrific things. Because like
that's what you just said you don't want.
No, the buildup is what I don't like. Them explaining like, okay, well, they have now invaded Iran. Like, I want to see these people living in the after effects of nuclear war.
You get over an hour of that. So,
I don't know, man. It's not enough. It's definitely not enough. And also because, like, I don't know, the lead up of the war, I might be wrong on the timeline, but I want to say it's like maybe a month. It's not much time. And then the second half of the movie, they cruise through like a decade or two, like, so they have to condense so much.
It's actually about 3 months. I get your point, because they're talking about the spring coming, and it's in March, and then I think the bomb drops in June or maybe July. So
there is. Ooh. Go ahead, Juice. You had
well, I mean, I'm kind of going between these. So what I liked about what Bob didn't like was that it made I feel like the most impactful part, the thing that really strikes the core for me and thinks like, oh God, or this is the horrors, was as the blast dropped and the immediate effects afterwards. And some of that was very effectful because we had followed these people in a couple different ways. So we follow very grounded two families, one that's got an elderly mother that they have to kind of look after, comes from the hospital, one with like some young kids who's not super prepared. The city, seeing how the government is just forcing people to kind of die in a way because they're not even letting them drive away, get into a safety zone. But we're also following in a kind of official capacity where these people, some of them don't even know that they have these secret roles, are thrown into this thing. And to see them, it's like playing with sticks, though, try to keep any form of civilization up with just this impossibility. And so those are effective to me because seeing, the mom find her kid in the rubble or half of her face burned off or them just puking uncontrollably or them having to move their dead grandmother upstairs and people trying to find food and being arrested because they're considered looting when they're literally just trying to survive after being forced to be in this blast zone. And so that was the most impactful way, which wouldn't have been impactful if I didn't see those people preparing. Oh my God. If I didn't see those people like listening to the news and being like, should we try to get away? To see how it all so quickly falls apart. One day you're just trying to get groceries from the thing. There's no groceries. You try to get on the road. They won't let you get on the road. You're trying to put your bed mattresses up against the window and then your fucking face gets blasted off. I mean, that's horrific because that felt so true. So that like 30-minute window was like super impactful to me. And I don't think we could have got quite there if they had skipped out on some of the earlier stuff.
And, I agree with that. And, as far as the latter stuff goes, I couldn't disagree more. I think this movie is for the latter half. Like it shows the arcing of the whole story. And like the story isn't about any character. The story is about like the dissolution of all humanity and civilization, starting from dudes getting a pint at the pub, ending with somebody's daughter having irradiated babies because that's all that's left. All of humanity is dissolved at that point. I think that's like the horror of the latter half. Like I agree that there's like certainly something truly horrific and we get a lot of gore and like a lot of heinous shit on screen during the blast and the immediate after effects. I agree with that. And it does like to some extent have to be speculative from that point on, just on the sheer bit, but not entirely because also we have dropped nuclear warheads on fucking Japan and shit. So it's not entirely speculative, but like showing like from a baseline of what we recognize as being like a functional society that we have now to the ramping, boiling frog that is all of us as tensions that were well outside of our control, certainly outside of these British people's control, start spinning and spinning and spinning and become this thing. And then absolute abject horror. And then the clinging to life against all conceivable rational hope. And the just finding all of those people that were supposed to be in charge buried in a bunker, and then showing Ruth, who is our point of view character up until the point she dies. She's like the main one who survives the longest because she's working, and we see that. Like I don't know where we watch that happen, like that, and then seeing the after effects that go beyond that. This is a story about not just dissolving of society, but dissolving of fucking humanity as we know it, and hope for it. Like I personally had a severe emotional reaction after this movie where I just kind of had to like sit and be quiet for like an hour and a half and just like fucking not do anything else but deal with the possibilities that this movie lays in front of you. And I think that is what this movie is trying to get across, is not just about like, isn't a bomb bad? Isn't this particular bomb and all of the irradiation, fallout, nuclear winter, and fucked up like babies, basically stemming all possibility of the future of the human species. Isn't that really fucking sad and terrible? And couldn't it have been prevented with a little more leeway, a little more attention at the front end when everybody was having drinks at the pub and turning to a soccer match instead of listening to this shit that's going on? Like, that's the point. And I don't think you could reasonably argue that they don't get to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just everything that you said is like not incorrect. I just don't think this movie really like presented these ideas in a way that like scared me. Like I can sit and think about it and scare myself, but like I didn't really like connect with the story or the characters. I feel like I would have gotten more out of it if it was just a straight documentary, I guess, than instead of having these like interstitials happen with a narrator and like title cards and it's just I think
you're engaging with it as a narrative, and that's not what this movie is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't review documentaries typically, you know. I wasn't prepared to see one, I guess. And this isn't an outright documentary. I mean, they are trying to like dramatize a term paper, and like I don't know, it's just not very effective one way or the other because they're kind of trying to have it both ways, I guess. I would rather have
I don't see how you can say this doesn't dramatize the reality of the situation.
It does, but like sort of in a way that like there's just not enough connection for me with the characters on screen. I'm more or less just being told what's happening by a narrator, you know?
Okay, some of that is true, but also like you're connecting, like, I mean, I don't know, maybe you just didn't connect with, like, you didn't relate enough to the people at the beginning somehow or whatever. But like, to me, it's like, I'm not splitting hairs about like where, like the thing is like where these people live. None of that shit fucking matters at the end of this movie because nothing fucking matters. This is a movie is a despair wail that is meant to, you know, shock people's system into thinking like, okay, well, yeah, certainly the people in the bunker are going to save the day. No, they're fucking not. Well, certainly Ruth and her husband, who's the hero of the movie, you think, are going to find a way to find each other and start a family in the country. No, that's not happening either. Like just that abject fear is what this movie is. So I engaged with it on that.
That's true. But I guess like going in to see this movie, you know, it is about the horrors of nuclear war. So, like, I mean, you kind of know what the end is going to be before you ever press play. And, like, I mean, you get what you expect.
Did you like Chernobyl?
Yeah, but I mean, there was, like, actual characters that you could follow from start to finish. I think that is substantially better crafted than this. And it's also based in reality. And, like, you know, I mean, obviously.
Kind of. They made up a lot of shit, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, man. I didn't like thoroughly research Chernobyl, but like I think Chernobyl did what this was trying to do in a better way, I guess, is all I'm really trying to say.
I think that they just explore the similar things, and I love Chernobyl. Don't get me wrong. Like I think that it's like it does serve a similar purpose, but it is more narratively focused, and it is about seeing like the development of characters and an arc for a particular character and one guy in particular. And the people surrounding him and those sort of things. And then some concocted characters that are meant to be representative of other like groups of people and shit like that. Like there's a lot of artistic, artistic leeway given to something like Chernobyl that this movie does not allow itself. It abstains from that. And it instead shows some characters, yes, just so you can have a point of view and just so that's not purely like one of those like Discovery Channel documentaries of like what would happen if a tsunami hit New York, and it's just like CG renders of dog shit and nobody cares. It gives you just enough connection to my mind to where you can see yourself in any one of these people's positions up until the point of the blast and then a little bit beyond, and then you're just like sunk into this area where it's like, God, is anything good ever going to happen again? And the answer in this movie is no.
Yeah. There is something to be said about the man. I really am in the middle this week because there's something to be said about the kind of quality that this offers, but I think on both ends. And I think that's the kind of disconnect that I'm having. On the one end, I don't want to see Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and it's this CGI wasteland where somebody's half base is burned off or something like that. That takes the kind of impact of what I felt out of where this feels like regular people in the best to their kind of ability. You know, everyone's just kind of fumbling around. No one's super organized. Everyone's just kind of reacting at first in a very baseline kind of way, but in very much a panic. So I think, again, that's where it's effective. One scene that kind of sticks out in my mind of where it starts to get kind of cheesy and the low budget starts to hurt it, and it starts to kind of be Mad Maxy or whatever, is where the kids are sitting in that big auditorium with this busted VHS tape and it's playing, and that's how they learn to speak. It's like, you know, I understand it's more serious than this, but there's still 4 to 11 million people that exist in Britain. And I understand that, you know, the main focus is to get as much food as possible. So education is certainly not a focus, but just as far as talking goes, people still speak English. People still can speak. 11 million people can still speak. And yet these kids are relying on this busted VHS tape to get little pieces of language. Like, that doesn't follow. That's cheesy.
Sure it does. I mean,
That's
it's a little cheesy, maybe. I don't know. I see what you're getting at, but I don't fully agree with that, because you think about, like, the adults need to be fucking working for survival. They need to be working. And also, as far as talking goes, you're talking about maybe 4 million people, all of whom have been through one of the most severe tragedies that's ever befallen any human being on earth. Like, the complete dissolution of everything they once knew and held dear. Like, probably everybody they ever loved.
They
like, they don't have
speak anymore.
Dude, have you, like,
Well, they just probably don't have the time to teach, like, English.
They don't have
classes,
time, and they don't have,
I know,
they don't
but
have,
people
like,
don't have to go to school to learn how to speak. 2-year-olds learn just from being around people how to speak.
People who are talking, but the only conversations that happen in this are, this is the thing, is like, people aren't, like, in this situation. I think a lot more conversation is to be spent on things like basic utility, and it can be anything that can be conveyed through 1 or 2 sentences or 1 or 2 words. Then the kids aren't hearing, like, narrative stories anywhere else but on the TV. They're not hearing anything. Like, I think it's unlikely that they're spending a lot of time for story time when you've got these traumatized people who are, like, worked to the bone, barely able to cope with the traumatic experience they've been through. I don't think it's that far of a reach to say, like, okay, well, just put them in front of this. Maybe this will keep them stimulated while we work. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's that absurd. And, you know, as far as, like, reaches, if that's the furthest reach you take in this movie, then I think that it does its job perfectly, because its job is to show you with the best, with the best accuracy possible without being able to see, you know, the future, like Dr. Goddamn Strange or whatever, like what it would actually look like if this happened. And I don't think these things are beyond the pale.
I think that's kind of the point, though, too, because you do have to speculate. And now what they do a good job is what they pretty much know would happen. Okay. If someone was in a nuclear blast and it came through their window, burn half their face off, they'd be thrown up in the corner. Like, that's pretty well, like, regarded as that would be true. The further they get from that, because they're working with this TV budget and this kind of more and more speculative thing, I think the quality that they established in the stuff that they know drops off the further. It's like this spectrum where the further away you get from the middle, the less effective it becomes for me, because of that, because of those things that in some ways made it stronger earlier, you know, because it feels more grounded. It's not Brad Pitt. These feel like regular people. It's a low budget, so they have to be creative with the burns and stuff like that. But as it gets away from that, we have to be like, what could happen? The world's got to be terrible. But now they have less budget, or they have less budget to have these kind of creative ideas. Put them in front of this jumping kind of VHS. And it's just like,
he's creative. I don't know what you're like. I kind of see what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like, you know, speculation is, this is what scientists do.
I know, but I don't think so I'm not saying that they can't speculate. They have to speculate. I'm just saying that I don't think that their speculation was particularly effective in the way that they portrayed it.
Okay, but like I don't get that. Because like the reason you're giving for that is that it's speculative. But you have to be speculative.
No. Not necessarily. I mean, I'm just saying, like, not because it's speculative that it's bad. I'm just saying what they chose to show was not effective for me. And it was hurt even more by the low budgetness of it, because they're better. The low budgetness works when you know what you need to show. Okay. Show people throwing up in the corner, show their burned faces, show this kid under the rubble. That's fine. We know that's going to happen. The more speculative you have to be, I think the less creative creative they were with their choices.
Wait, they're not trying to be creative. Like that's not the role that they're playing here.
I mean,
it's not about being creative, and it's also like the low budget
the things that they showed.
Well, what effects are you talking about?
Okay, Randy.
Yeah.
You just said you have to be speculative. When you speculate, there is creativity involved. You have to create scenarios. So this is designed to be creative because you have to think what could possibly happen. That's creative. And so I'm saying what they showed was not as effective.
Justin, they're not painting a painting. These are coming from professors and scientists speculating based on scientific realities, not based on what they think might happen, like Mad Max. And I don't see any effects
but they have
that
to
suffer
show
towards the end of this
something,
movie.
Randy. They're making a movie.
I know that. And they're showing things.
Something.
They're showing the things that they speculate based on science, not based on what's the coolest thing.
So their
they can
science tells them that kids are going to sit in front of a busted VHS. That comes from science. That's a scientific thing that they established.
The idea that kids...
That's ridiculous.
The idea... No, it's not ridiculous.
It is.
The idea that they would show... The idea that they would show kids videos and imagery of the past as it was so that they can learn about the past, so that maybe they can learn a little language, so they can learn something is absurd.
So it's more likely that this busted civilization that doesn't even have a structure to establish electricity relies on busted old outdated technology that uses electricity to educate their kids instead of just speaking. That's more likely to you in your mind?
I think it's perfectly likely that they would use things from the past VHS to teach about the past. Why not?
In a society that has no electricity?
I think you guys are in the weeds on this one.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't think that is the most absurd thing possible, that they would use media from previous generations to teach the kids of today. That is literally what teaching is.
When you could just speak?
Maybe they can't.
But they can use a VHS player.
Yes. What is so crazy about this to you?
The fact that all of civilization was destroyed and that you would have a power grid and working VHS player.
Nobody said there was a power grid. You're speculating that.
How are you playing the VHS
Batteries
player?
Exist. You can, like, science still does exist on some level.
VHS
they have very few resources. That is not... They can. What are you talking? You can run anything off a battery.
You could figure something out.
Generators exist. Like, what are you talking about?
So we have time to set up a generator to run a busted VHS player instead of speaking.
Well, during the first nuclear winter, the first thing that's going to come back is Blockbuster. They're bringing them back. People want to watch some tape, dude.
Back.
They're indestructible too, by the way. That should never break.
Be kind, rewind.
Look, I just don't see that as so absurd to think that you would have people turning to media of the past and not putting all of their resources into working on exclusively that, but instead using, a handful of people to jerry rig together some electricity so that kids have something to learn from while you're working the fucking fields to keep them alive. I don't think that's insane.
It's speculative, and nobody is going to fucking know the answer right now. I do have a question.
But scientists would know best, and that's what this is based on.
Do you so you see this as being like primarily educational, I guess? Would that be safe to say?
I think it splits the difference for the best of reasons, which is to sort of like shake people from the boiling frog syndrome that we see at the beginning of this movie. And I think that it's educational in the sense that it's like, okay, it's like, how they say like, okay, like the difference once you get to a certain point of wealth, for example, if you have $100 million, it's functionally the same as having $500 million. And you can't even conceptualize the difference between those two things because they're so disparate or they're so beyond like where we can feasibly imagine. We have no frame of reference for it. That's what I think this movie is trying to break. And I think it does a good job at that. This is a movie it is clearly a warning to society to start taking this shit seriously. Stop being, aggressively militaristic with nuclear armaments. This movie literally has a character say, you cannot win a nuclear war, which is a fucking absolute truth.
Yeah,
that people don't reckon with enough. Like, especially at this day and age, this was after the Cold War had fizzled a little bit, but it's speculating that it hadn't, so that it could show like the eventuality of what that could lead to. And now we are closer to it than we were in 1984. Like the doomsday clock was at 3 minutes in 1984. I just looked it up. It's at 100 seconds now to doomsday on the scientific doomsday clock. We are closer to military nuclear fucking war, all out war, and the dissolution of society now than we were when this movie was made. That's fucked up. And we are like, this movie is made to break people from the illusion that it's all just stuff from fucking 80s movies. Like it's all, or well, I mean, obviously that's not what.
Well, not really, because it was an 80s.
For us,
It was
right? Yeah,
just
Yeah.
that,
But
just
you see what I
knowing
mean.
that
Like,
right
it's
there.
not just like an abstract villain that
True.
you're talking about. It's not like
Yeah.
Knowing that alone is scarier to me than this entire 2-hour movie was, though. Even though it's like outlining what could potentially occur, I did not find it effective or horrifying in any way. Like
Really?
yeah, like the 3 Mile
find that
Island
shocking.
documentary that's on Netflix, like that was way more effective to me.
Really?
Yeah, than
I
this
didn't finish
movie.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking
Wow.
to
I
real
won't say.
people that were genuinely
Yeah.
affected by like like a nuclear power plant like meltdown.
I know, but you're watching a movie, Bob.
This is
Well,
the documentary?
no, the movie. So you're
Yeah.
saying like, oh, in the documentary, they're talking to real people. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a movie about a nuclear holocaust.
I
They
know.
can't talk to real people.
They can talk to fully fleshed out characters that have full blown character arcs that allow you to connect with them. though. They choose not to do
Bob,
that either.
So,
I don't think that's not
well,
what this movie's for.
I know.
Well,
it,
hang
just,
on,
it,
though.
it just fails on every level to me. I don't.
Well,
No,
hang
but
on.
it fails on the level of having a character that you feel like you can connect to as an arc. But does it
But
really fail on the representation of the most accurate scientific facts available at the time, as far as we understand them?
I mean,
But I feel strange about that because I felt like they followed a whole family and not just
Yeah,
one
I
person.
agree
They
with that.
followed a
Both sides of
couple
that family.
that had a full family, brothers and sisters, parents, grandparents, and friends. And we see what happens to each one of those people in this nuclear blast. You didn't feel any connection to any of those people?
not particularly. No.
Really?
Like, nobody really.
But you can't recognize that they at least established that and they were fully fleshed out characters with problems and like in a real situation.
I mean, I can't like describe a character to you other than like the young couple that accidentally got pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
do you know anything
they've
about
got a
them
friend-
or anybody else? Like that? Or maybe
Well, yeah. I
just
mean,
missed it.
he's got a friend that likes football. They like to go out to drink.
Yeah.
They bought their new house. They're trying.
He wants him to cheat on his new wife.
They're doing their.
They're deciding whether or not to get an abortion.
They're doing
Like,
their
oh, yeah,
best to
yeah.
start their family. He's got a brother and a sister,
Who are
his
shitty to
brother
him.
plays video games. And no, they're just regular
he raises
teenagers.
birds. Like,
Yeah, he raises birds. His dad's like a bit of a stickler. His parents are, whatever. But then
there's a class divide.
because the girls' parents are more like higher class. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like fully established family.
I don't know. It just, I guess it falls apart like as the bombs fall and then they sort of fast forward everything. I don't know. There was some sort of like
Isn't that
disconnect.
The point.
Well, no. I don't
Isn't
see
the dissolution of that family to some extent part of what the
I mean,
story
yeah.
what they're trying to portray?
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
Randy's
you
taking
can't
the
follow.
Randy's kind of taken the position that, like, yeah, I agree with you, Bob, but that's the point. But I don't necessarily agree with that because I feel like outside of this family, I understand that there are brief moments where they show text on the screen. And then we also do follow these people who are getting ready to go into a bunker. In some way, they establish that man a little bit too, not very much, but they do set up that he has a family and that he has no idea what's going on. He's doing his best. He loves some fucking tea. But I like Randy seems to accept the idea of like, yeah, that's the point.
I'm
But
meeting Rob where Rob is at.
Okay,
I tend to
don't-
lean more to your what
yeah,
you're
I
saying, but-
really thought other than brief moments of text showing up on the screen and focusing on this other guy who's going down the bunker, they spend all of their time with at least this family, like some member of this family, whether it be the mom going shopping, the guy going out with his buddy getting drinks, the girl petting her cat and talking to her family. Like that's who we spend the time with.
Literally the only character that you could say they spend enough time with to say, oh, they're following this character, that is not featured heavily in the beginning is the infant daughter. And that's for a very obvious reason. And arguably she was at least mentioned in the beginning of the movie when they were talking whether or not to get an abortion and shit like that. So like we spend those last 5 minutes with her. And I think that's like, to me, that concludes the arc. It's like you and every piece of your family has been obliterated by the big swinging dicks that control the world. And like, isn't that fucking horrifying? Don't you think we should do something about that?
We even see the dad going into the, nuclear apocalypse where he's trading the cigarettes for the scotch and doing his best to work to get food.
Playing his kid's
family.
video game.
Yeah. there was like threads throughout the.
Wow. Whoa.
But I don't know. And also to see that those people, all just kind of died in the bunker. Now, we didn't spend much time with those individuals, but I thought that it was grounded well in that way with like enough. This one has, younger kids. One's like 10 years old. This one has older kids that are a little well off, but despite the fact it doesn't matter, then none of them could do anything to change the situation.
And I also think they did a good job of showing, like you're saying right now, like people from all it's a decent, not full by any means, but a decent cross section of the average citizen of the time, or at least the top of mind citizens, because God knows there's
you got
an
underclass
to the underclass
of the political kind of food chain. You got a politician. Sheffield,
you've got like the backroom meetings that you see in like Shin Godzilla, which was my favorite part of that movie. It was them fucking figuring shit out. They have that, and then it fails spectacularly. They get caved into City Hall and just die there. They just die. And then you've got all these families and see how they get obliterated, how they barely survive, and how they scrape together what life they can. And then that's obliterated by sheer virtue of, once you drop this bomb, it doesn't stop having effects. It's not a one and done. And that is part of what is trying to be conveyed here. And I think that is what's so important about having the full scale of the back half of it. They're cramming a lot more in, to Justin's point earlier. It's not 3 months, it's 10 years, all things considered. So yeah, I understand that it's a little bit like you can't spend the same amount of time doing everything you want to do there. And they do have to rely on text or whatever. But based on what I understand the point of this to be, I see that as an absolute necessity to get to the point where we're seeing even your embryonic child is going to live in the wasteland that you created, or that you were around that became of what you used to know. Yeah. There's no hope at the end of this fucking movie.
Give me that blast, dog. I'm just,
Becky and I were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, man, I mean, it's for me, it's an easy get the fuck out, take all that Tylenol under the sink, let's roll. I'm not sticking around for the scavengers personally.
So some of that was effective to me too, where the government is kind of coming in and people are trying to get food and they're like, no looting and go back to your homes. And I was like, that feels real to me. Or that just feels
they're operating
very bleak and I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also too, I was like, if I'm a cop, I'm not going out into a nuclear blast to catch people looting.
Yeah, go get your bread. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, no, because they are adjacent to the food. The only thing that the thing is when chaotic times hit, power always consolidates itself. That is
I guess that's true. If you do have a gun and the power to just say, oh, you're looting, I'm going to gun you down and take your food, then I guess that follows.
If you have a bunker that holds your family of 4 and your neighbor wants to get in, you have the power to say, no, we only have the food we have. And a lot of people will make that choice. That because it's power consolidating itself. Now extrapolate that to the level of fucking presidents and prime ministers and so on. And and the only people that have actual resources that they can command troops and feed them with something to do their bidding. Yeah, that's an absolute reality in my mind.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So this movie is terrifying. Is it one of the scariest movies you've ever seen?
On its own level. That's where I kind of want to parse this too, is I don't want to put it, I will answer that question fully, but I don't think that's a fair bar to ask any movie to reach. True. We didn't ask Hereditary to be the best movie.
The only reason I would ask that
great.
is because it was claimed as such. That's all.
Yeah.
Right. And I agree. And on that level, I'll answer that question. So the answer to me is, I think it ranks, certainly. I don't know that it's the scariest. A lot of time thinking about my ranking in that regard, but I would say that the fact that I had to sit with this for a while before I felt okay again is kind of telltale for me. I didn't feel good after this movie. It felt like maybe a validation of the global fears that I think we've all felt a little bit of, certainly over the last few years. And it took me a while to really just be able to be okay with this. And on that level, so yeah, it had an emotional impact on me that most movies don't. Even some movies that scare the shit out of me, movies that make me jump, do not have the same impact on me as this movie does. So I think it ranks. I hesitate to give any movie the title of scariest, though.
Sure.
I don't think that's something I can even do.
It's not, but it really did fill me with a sense of like negative reality, hopelessness, and despair. I wasn't ever scared in this movie, but did I see a potential reality that is completely hopeless and, fill me with dread and like a pit in my stomach? Sure. Yeah, I did. Because I actually did connect with this. I was able to follow and sympathize easily with this family that I followed. For me, still, I mean, the most where I got that pit or where I really felt those things was the guy's parents being hidden behind the door, the mom's face blasted off, them just puking together, like the blood starting to come up, having no food, knowing you got to go wander out in this wasteland to try to just get some tainted water. That was effective to me and really dreadful to me.
Hopeless.
So yeah, I did feel it. Yeah, I felt it.
And it sounds like, Bob, that's a clear no from you because it didn't, like, you just weren't connecting.
Yeah, right? It was kind of a whiff for me. Sorry.
I'm just genuinely shocked that you're like, I'm just very shocked by that. Not that it's wrong. It's fine. It's just like,
yeah, I mean,
to me, it's so close to a potential future that we could all have.
Yeah.
that like, if horror is a reflection of what scares us, then baby, this shit hits hard for me.
Yeah.
Baby, you got stew going.
There's definitely certain images in this movie that are haunting, but I think just as a whole, the movie just falls apart for me. And it doesn't expound upon anything that like we don't necessarily already know or could like that we're not like able to elaborate upon for ourselves. Like it doesn't introduce new horrors to me necessarily. It's just sort of like, that's pretty much what I expected. I just wish it was a little more like condensed, I guess. Yeah.
I just wonder, and this is like speculation on my part too, like I wonder about this for myself. We live in a post HBO's Chernobyl world where we have all seen this show that goes through great pains to show the immediate effects of, say, radiation poisoning and fallout. So in that regard, I feel like maybe some of that punch was pulled. Is that kind of part of what you're identifying?
Probably. Yeah. I think that's safe to say.
And that was like in great, insane, like 2020 detail, 2019 detail or whatever.
Yeah.
So
solid pin has a leg up.
I will say this:
best show is gnarly.
Yeah.
Best and scariest made for TV film I've ever seen. I'll give it those two accolades easily.
I don't. Yeah, I'd have to like research, but yeah, maybe honestly that might be true. That might hold true. I don't know. The Hitcher, I think, was made for TV. That's got some spooky shit. I don't know. I
haven't seen it yet, but I'll check it out. But I have a hard time thinking that. And the thing is, like, the things that scare me aren't spooky ghosts and things like that. I enjoy watching those things. I like watching Scooby-Doo, but I'm not afraid of the fucking minor 49er coming through my window at night.
Well, I am afraid for yourself.
I am afraid of the conflict in Ukraine right now and what that could mean globally. So it hits on things that are genuine fears for me and not childhood fears even.
Yeah.
Me and Randy are getting blasted if it's something going on, Bob.
Dude, I will drink a whole bottle of Malort if
I don't know. The Navy.
Therefore we'll be dead.
We got a couple Navy bases around
the here. Navy bases.
So,
But yeah, me and
the
Randy
two of
for
us are
sure
kind of-
getting blasted.
I'm in the seat of power right now, and baby, it's gonna burn if that shit goes down.
well,
Not by my choice.
I don't know,
Goddamn.
boys. Until then, let's just try and enjoy it. Let's enjoy the ride
That's the
while we
thing.
can.
Actually,
No.
that's something I want to touch on. Actually, is like
Okay.
this movie is great, is incredibly hopeless. Like we talked about, it ends on this hopeless note. But I think that if you need a positive for this movie, and I think there is one, it's that it exists and it's informing people about what we could avoid. You know, this has not come to pass yet. We are still sitting around eating nachos and watching this happen instead of living it. So, I mean, I think if you need a silver lining, it's that, you know, we have not reached midnight on the doomsday clock yet. So let's try and change course is the whole point.
Randy, I just went 6 to midnight, so sorry, time's up.
Whoa.
Oh, God, no!
Gentlemen,
I thought this was going to be a lot more fun. God.
do you have anything else you want to touch on before we rate this thing?
No.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably keep talking, but no, I'm good.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do it. Out of 5. Randu, this was your pick. Why don't you kick us off, man? How do you feel about Threads?
So despite my vigilant, passionate arguing, there are some things about this movie that I agree with you guys on in terms of it having, it's a little bit hobbled by its own conceit, its own central premise and what it's trying to convey. It prioritizes, it's similar to like movies. This movie has a message and the message is the movie. And in most cases, that's a huge detriment to a movie. And I can totally see like that way of thinking about it. But because this is not like, the message isn't like, I don't know, vote for this piece of legislation so that these people don't marry each other or whatever, or some horse shit like that. Like, or, you know, make up with your abusive husband. It's fine. Like these crazy things that exist. This message is like highly important to the survival of all of mankind. So it like does not, it hits different. It just hits different. And this to me, it's what it lacks in the narrative sense, which I kind of see both sides of both of what you guys are saying. Cause Justin, I totally agree with you. I connected with this family. I connected with the story that was going on with them. And I watched Ruth in particular as she goes almost to the end and then watches her progeny fizzle out essentially. Like that is really impactful for me. I understood that arc and I really liked it, but I also feel, and I think that they were a means to an end. And I think that's what Rob's feeling is they're a means to an end to show this tale of just anybody that's going through this thing. So that you have a point of view on it. And that point of view doesn't need to be fully fleshed out. And like, it doesn't need a lot of artistic merit. It just needs reality as much as possible. That is the prescriptive thing. As much, it takes creativity to speculate, but they're basing that speculation not upon what's the most interesting or coolest way they could show it. It's not Mad Max in that sense. It is showing as much reality as possible. And in that regard, I can't see this as anything but like an incredibly valuable movie to have around to entice people to watch, even if it's not fun. And it's not, even if it's not, you know, a spooky, scary romp or anything like that. It has an utilitarian value to the survival of the species. And that's a little heavy maybe, but it's a little weighty. I'm not saying this movie's going to save humanity, but it can't fucking hurt to tell the boiling frogs the temperature is rising. So that's where I'm at with this movie. I really love it, like on that regard. And like it lived up to what I assumed it would be. Or what I was told it would be from all these people. Scariest, I don't know, but certainly greatly impactful and very vital to telling this important thing to people that don't want to hear it and otherwise could happily ignore it. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 4.5. I don't know really what else to say. For people who are living in, I don't know, for a BBC documentary, you got to bear in mind, this was made we're just kind of like dealing with it as Americans and a year much closer to nuclear holocaust than they were. So, yay us.
Yay us. All right. 4.5 from old Randu. Juice, you want to weigh in here? How do you feel?
Sure. Middle Mang stains today. There's a couple things we didn't kind of talk about, and to kind of go to the point of where I think this movie shines, is where actually it's super grounded to me, which actually seems to be kind of the negative for Bob. The little text on the screen and stuff didn't bother me. Where I found it to be cheesy and kind of roll my eyes a little, not roll my eyes, but just be like, oh, this is a low budget made for TV movie, is where they tried to scare you. Okay. So where it was like, this is really what would happen, I was like, ooh, that's scary. But when they were like, oh, I'm going to really try to scare you with the possibilities, there were some scenes we didn't really talk about where Ruth is kind of wandering through the rubble, and they specifically try to make it more traumatic, where the mom is there looking at her holding, the baby, and like, that's a terrible idea, and I know that babies would die and everything like that, but the drama of that in this low budget made for TV movie felt cheesy. And I felt that there were moments like that where they were really trying to hammer that home without sticking to their super grounded reality. They were like, see, this really could be scary. And then that actually wasn't scary or effective to me. I was like, oh man, these guys are trying too hard now. Stick to your original plan and really play it straight, because that, I don't know, for some reason, that's what was personally effective to me. I like the setup of the beginning of this. Like I said, the middle 20 to 30 minutes was, I thought, the most impactful and really what this movie was kind of going for. And I like the beginning more than I like the end, because the beginning set up that part for me well, to where I actually felt things about these people. And then as it got further away from that, I'm following this girl who, I understand she was bored and stuff like that. But I just didn't care as much, and it felt a little more dramatic, a little bit more speculative. I saw kind of the more low budget feel of it and stuff like that. So that's where it dropped off for me. I still think though that they got their point across, and I thought they did what they set out to do. And so I don't think I give that as much weight as Bob typically does, but it is important here. And so overall, I think I'm going to give this movie a 3. It was tough to watch in some ways. I don't ever want to watch it again, but it was important in some ways too, and was effective in a very miserable kind of way. Bob.
Hello.
Out of 5, please tell us what you think about Threads.
I think this movie falls in this really weird sort of middle gray area where like one half of it sort of outdoes the other instead of like help bolster the other. It's so I guess the best way to describe this is a docudrama where it's like part documentary with some like dramatization happening in it. And I feel like the information, the more like documentary side of it, is very interesting. And like, I'm sure most people watching this, present day, probably know at least some of this information. But like, you can learn a couple beats here and there for sure. Even if it's speculative, I still find it interesting and like pertinent information. It's good to know this stuff. But I feel like that's just sort of undercut by like the dramatization aspect of it. These characters that are in here, just, I guess they worked for y'all. They seem to work a hell of a lot better for y'all than they did for me. I just felt like I was sort of unable to connect with their journey and the overall arc of these characters, to where like when they were on screen, it just felt kind of like a waste of time. Like I just kind of wanted more information out of it. Or I guess you could go the other side and like get rid of the narration and the like bullet point information that they would show up on screen, and just have these characters like live out a smaller portion of this like time period of 12 years or however long it is total. And like like really get down to like the nitty gritty of them so that you can like see how they're living their lives and how truly awful it is. And then, maybe at the end of the movie, show a couple like bullet points of like, 10 years after, 20 years after, 50 years after, whatever, just to like drive the point further home a little more, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like there's a better way to make this movie and make it more effective overall. Like, I really wish it was a straight up documentary, to be honest, and which we probably wouldn't be talking about on the show if that was the case. I just feel like it would have been like way more impactful for me anyways if it had been. So it's I feel like it kind of it undoes itself in a way. There's a few like really horrific moments, specifically like the girl biting her own umbilical cord and like giving birth totally alone in like this barn. Like there's like some pretty gruesome stuff, and it just like sort of overall the movie just doesn't really work for me. I mean, I guess if they were trying to get information across, they did that. There is definitely some information being transmitted here for sure. Which I'll give that a 1 star, but like the rest of it just doesn't really work for me.
God damn.
Sorry.
That is absurd.
Wow, this is a rare case
It's
of
so
all over the
interesting.
map.
It really, I mean,
We
I just
often
know,
don't.
man.
It's probably best that we all usually stick in some kind of range, because when we are all over the map, we just tear into each other.
Dude, I just like,
You
It's an all-out brawl.
stupid son of a bitch! You don't know movies like I.
shit about shit.
What are you calling a cootie queen, you lint liquor?
You cooter.
I don't know, man. It
queens.
just, to me, it's like, this is an informational film that has what I would consider very potent dramatized scenes, but the dramatized scenes are the extraneous part to the documentary. If you were to split it up, and I think that I think that if you divorced it entirely, then you would have the fucking Discovery Channel Shark Week programming where it's just like CG bullshit that nobody cares about.
Well, Randy, you're just a cooter queen, okay?
Okay, I know that.
You don't know fuck about shit.
Speak English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
Ain't that the truth? Well, that's going to put the aggregate.
I'm
for this-
politician Stains, not scientist Stains, okay?
That explains why you're in the middle.
Exactly.
There you go.
Playing both sides.
Puts the aggregate at a 2.8 for Threads. Let's jump over to our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about it.
Certified fresh to death.
Just
All right,
wait till we cover Crete.
God. I guess I don't know. I don't think there's anybody on the high end of that one, but I don't know. I could be wrong. All right. So this is our Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these gentlemen guess with the best of their abilities what the aggregate user and critic scores are for Threads. And now that's the percentage that is positive out of the numbers of reviews counted. Now we've got a little bit of an interesting situation here with this one because it is so old and because it's made for TV and because it's not a normal movie by any general standard. There are only 10 reviews from critics here. So I think you guys can safely use round numbers here.
Ooh, okay.
But that's just me. You go crazy. If you want the comedy number, by all means. But we'll start with Juice here. What do you think there are? I'm sorry, there are 10 reviews. Did I say that? I did.
Yeah.
10 reviews. Juice, where are you going to land on this? Where do you think the critics are going to land? I should say.
10. BBC. They'll generally be positive, I think. I don't want to go too high because it's so depressing and it's kind of old. So I don't really know where people are going to be ranking this in the timeline. But I'm going to say 70%.
70%. Okay. Bob, how about you?
I'm gonna go higher, I guess. I feel like critics would probably dig this, so I'll just go with an 80.
80. Okay. All right. Nobody got a ringy dingy, I'm sorry to say. But Bob, you are going to take it. This is a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Whoa, Bob, in your face.
In your face.
Those 10 guys just proved you wrong.
Can I get a hell ski?
Whoa, hell ski, Bob. You're on a bit of a hot streak. That's 3 in a row.
They call me
Done, dude.
Bob's gonna get done.
They call me Hot Streak Bomb.
Yeah, so well done, Bob.
No.
We're going to move over to the audience score. There are significantly more of these, 2,500 plus, so over $2,000 of these user reviews. Bob, we'll start with you this time. Where do you think the users, the audience, is going to land on this?
It's gotta be not 100%. That's for sure.
Okay,
I feel like
all right.
this is
Logic.
This has got to be pretty damn divisive. Oh man, 50%. I'll just down the middle, 50.
Oh, now who's the politician? All right, Soju, how about you?
How many did you say there were, Randy?
Over 2,500.
Okay, it's going to be higher than 50%, but I want to break Rob's streak, so I'm going to say 51.
You son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that was a good instinct, but you guys are way the fuck off. 92%.
Oh, okay, I could have. Whoa, my lord, Bob.
92%.
Oh, in your face.
So,
Oh my lord. Ooh.
I judge movies better than you, says Rotten Tomatoes.
Says Rotten Tomato.
Mr. Tomato wants a word. Yeah, so the critics' consensus reads as follows. An urgent warning against nuclear conflict. Threads is a chilling hypothetical that achieves visceral horror with its matter-of-fact presentation of an apocalypse, which I agree with entirely, personally.
Well, Randy's got his pulse on the people this week.
I do.
Always touching people.
I got a pulse on the people. I had to dig a little bit to find a negative user review that was negative enough. And I found one finally.
Oh,
and it simply reads, it's a 1-star. Get out of my house with this bullshit.
I love it. Sums it up perfectly.
Out of my house.
Very concise.
Speak English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
I thought that was pretty great. Okay, yeah, that's our Rotten Tomatoes segment.
Nice.
Oh man. I've got just a little bit of trivia. There really wasn't much, so we'll blast through it real quick here. Let's do it.
It's totally time for trivia.
I'm having some troubles today.
Ones and twos.
Alrighty then.
Sometimes it's a 3.
So this was made for TV, like we made very clear. So I've got like a little bit of history just on like when and where it was broadcast. I'll fly through this real quick. So it was a co-production of BBC, 9 Network, and Western World Television. First broadcast on BBC Two on the 23rd of September, 1984 at 9:30 p.m. No commercials were aired during it. It achieved the highest ratings on the channel for that week. It was 6.9 million watchers. It repeated on BBC One August 1st, 1985.
For British eyes only.
And that was to mark the 40th anniversary of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And that night also saw the first televised screening of a movie called The War Game, which was apparently like too scary to show on TV. Like the producers were legitimately afraid that people might actually commit suicide if they saw it. So they just didn't show it.
1966 that came out. Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should fucking talk about that. Maybe not. Jesus.
Yeah, and I think we've had enough for a bit.
Yeah. Threads was not shown again on British screens until the digital BBC Channel 4 broadcast in October 2003. And then again on UK TV documentary in 2004 and again in 2005. It was shown in the United States on the Superstation TBS on the 13th of January 1985. And Ted Turner...
Thanks for saying it's the Superstation. I love that.
Our boy Ted Turner presented it. He gave it a little intro. Also, no commercials. Which is fucking nuts. This was followed by
Ted's an environmentalist. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was followed by a panel discussion on nuclear war, which I think I love that. I think that would be really amazing to see. I wonder if that's like on YouTube or something somewhere.
That's a good question.
It was also shown in syndication on local commercial stations, PBS, etc., and then eventually aired in Australia and Canada as well. This was also nominated for 7 BAFTA awards in 1985. It won for Best Single Drama, Best Design, Best Film Cameraman, and Best Film Editor. So it cleaned up. I mean,
okay.
It's pretty
best cameraman.
Apparently,
I mean,
that's a weird award.
You're a good
Rick's just a good dude. Oh, Rick, gotta give him something. No, I think like the editing is actually an interesting thing because I as much as you guys weren't big fans of like the bullet points things, I thought that added to the reality of it and the matter of fact thing that the Rotten Tomatoes thing talked about. I think that's what added to it, and it's kind of like weirdly adjacent to like a found footagey feel, where it just feels more real because it's presented as if real in some way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. It's
it's at least pretty unique.
Giving it that sort of like documentary type feel. I mean, it's not entirely that, but like it makes it feel more grounded for sure. I mean, it was a smart decision, I think. The makeup for the extras playing third-degree burn victims consisted of Rice Krispies and tomato ketchup. Sounds delicious.
Oh, what the fuck?
Oh, she's a fancy flapjack.
Yeah, she is. The umbilical cord was made of licorice.
Ew,
that's almost worse.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Give me that sweet flesh, baby.
Oh, God, no!
Hey, licorice is the new flesh. That's what all the kids are saying.
Who are you calling a cootie queen, you lint litter?
That's what we all say. Us kids.
All the kids, all the children like juice. The last bit I have here is this cost £400,000 and was shot over the course of 17 days. That's all the trivia I could find.
Wow.
On this bad boy.
That's pretty fucking quick.
Quick as shit. Yeah.
Holy shit.
The Brits don't fuck around.
That's a lot of. I mean, actually, that this kind of movie actually might. And that doesn't. It's not that it makes sense. It's more believable that they could do it that way because of how broken up some of this is. They probably had like 4 teams of camera people and like sub directors.
Only
and
one
so
good
on.
cameraman though.
You call those. Just the best ones.
Just Rick.
Oh, Rick.
The rest can fuck right off.
Rick's the best. You all suck.
I think 1 star for the Rick.
For Rick's dick. Let's.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
Bob's always got to take it there.
You're right. Speaking of taking it there, let's go ahead and talk Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the Week.
Juice, what's Cooter and why do we hunt them?
Oh, well, Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter. We want the Cooter with the most points. The 5 points of Cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, I think there's a clear Cooter here. Let's talk about booking Russia.
The Roosties.
Yeah.
Let's get
him into the war room.
We got him.
We got him. Booked him. All right. What's done is done.
All right. Putting him in jail. Putting
all
him right in jail.
Could we also talk about the boyfriend possibly being a Cooter? I think he hits maybe 2 points off the top of my dome.
Okay, please hit me because I didn't clock any.
Sexual deviance. He cheats on his girlfriend.
Oh, he does. I completely forgot that he actually does cheat on her. I thought it was just a conversation, but you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so deviance, sure.
Boom. Got him.
All right. Got the one.
Yeah. Overall patheticness. He runs right into a nuclear blast.
He does it heroically. Does that count for anything?
No, runs right into it.
All right.
Just jogging along.
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you?
Just straight into the block.
Just started blasting.
He said, Mama, I'm coming home.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm fully on board with that, but I don't think we have a third prong here anyway. What are we going to ding him for a sweater vest? I don't think so.
Yes.
No, let's see.
Manipulation.
I don't
smug
think
arrogance.
so.
I don't see that.
Smug
Looking
arrogance.
attire.
Yeah, probably not. Okay, well, he gets 2 anyways.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, I tried.
The Russians.
Yeah, you tried. I don't see any other argument. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing more arrogant than that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Putin.
Yeah. You know he listens. You know he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big
he's a Patreon, and he's going to be sore after this.
Dude, that would be nuts, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
We don't accept rubles, okay?
Oh my god!
He's gonna leave a voicemail next week and be like, "Fuck all y'all."
What the fuck? What I do to you?
What the fuck? He's Dracula now.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
If anybody has a claim, I think it might be Tootin' Putin.
What the fuck?
Fuck that dude and the horse he rode in on.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
we got him,
boys. I guess
we got him.
I think the Cooter jail fell apart as soon as the blast hit, but that's fine.
Yeah. Let's shake all this heaviness off and talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randu, why don't you kick us off? What you been watching? I watched a man die in the streets. No, I'm kidding. I didn't watch that.
Oh God.
It's possible.
Yeah, but actually, in fairness, some of the things I watched were also very troubling in their own ways. I finished up Keep Sweet. Did we talk about the conclusion of Keep Sweet? I don't know if we did.
Not the conclusion.
Yeah, we were talking all about it, but yeah.
I concluded that somehow got much worse than I thought.
Yeah.
I did not think that was possible. Definitely did.
It's bad.
There is no question on the human trafficking aspect.
Ugh.
None. I also concluded something I brought up before, another true crime documentary type thing. The Deep End, the documentary about the modern cultist Teal Swan. Which, buddy, that also got way fucking worse. I don't know how, it's only I think 3, maybe 4 episodes total. I would recommend it. It's on Hulu, I want to say. And man, it's amazing how deluded people can delude other people if they have enough wherewithal to make it happen. Like a confident enough voice saying anything will get confused and desperate people to do anything is the one thing I keep learning. I, for one, don't see much of a difference between her and Warren Jeffs, but hey, that's just me. Yeah. On a slightly lighter note, I watched a movie. Becky chose this movie called Level 16, which I don't know when it came out exactly, but it apparently was on their list for a while. And it was pretty good. It was kind of a young adulty sort of thing it's kind of tough to talk about without spoiling the ending of it or whatever. But these girls are in an underground school. Supposedly the air is poisonous. They're around 15, 16 years old, and they're being trained very, very aggressively to be perfect children who basically don't think, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to do anything except care for themselves and have internal politics and whatever. And this one girl, and they will physically punish you if you do anything out of line. So it's tough to really go beyond that. I think it's worth checking out. Some of the acting's a little stilted. Some of it's a little bit WB feeling, but for a light Sunday watch, I would recommend it. Lighter. It could be darker. I guess maybe it's just coming off the heels of Threads, maybe. But
Randy really puts a lot of extra burden onto his life.
Dude, I gotta get it out. I also had to watch the scariest goddamn thing I've ever seen. It's called The Boy and Brahms, The Boy 2. I watched a double feat.
Shit.
Oh.
And I have seen The Boy once before, which I was actually pleasantly surprised that movie was not quite as dumb dog shit as I assumed it would be.
Yeah.
And it was certainly mockable and silly, but it is not. It managed to get one over on me and surprise me in a certain way. And then Brahms, The Boy 2, literally took all of that away and just did the hardcore opposite. And did exactly the most expected thing that they could do. And boy, buddy, it was not for me. That was the movie I thought The Boy 1 was going to be, and it sucked. And then last but not least, I watched Jurassic Park last week and The Lost World this week, and that is a downgrade of a film.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah, I mean, it's certainly the best sequel that I've seen.
Okay.
But it is a downgrade. To me, it's like, well, when we talk about like, you don't want to see Tom Cruise go up like and do this big action scene and then be like, see kids, that's why you don't do drugs, right? And then wink and then fucking jetpack away or whatever. Nobody wants to see that shit. And that's basically what this movie does to Jeff Goldblum. And everybody in this movie is basically basically Ian Malcolm. Everybody is quipping the shit out of every moment, and it is fucking exhausting. And they're making the dumbest possible decisions at every turn, even more so than the first one. Not good, not too good, but more enjoyable than the other ones, in my opinion, certainly. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
Alrighty then. Juice, what you been watching?
I started watching Miss Marvel, the newest Disney Plus Marvel show. It's nice. It's kind of got a Spider-Man, homecoming kind of feel. They're in high school, super young, insecurities, crushes and all that. It's kind of adorable in some ways. In some ways, it's also just got that plastic Marvel feel in a little bit of it. So, a little bit of mix of both. It's decent enough so far. Only 2 episodes in. I also watched Mad God, that newest Tool video to drop. Best Tool video I ever seen.
Hell yeah. The shortest song they ever wrote, 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, I watched that stop motion. Well, it's kind of like a mix of stop motion and real people and whatnot. It's all kind of crazy shit. It was, I will say, I don't quite have the patience for it. I did watch it all. It took a while to kind of get through all of it, but it's something that I'm not like super crazy about, but I'm really, really glad it exists and that people can enjoy it in its full capacity and everything. I was really glad. It's very, very, very dark and bleak, though. So, yeah. But it reminded me of a couple things. One of them was a short that I originally was familiar with through a music video, which it was officially attached to because it was on all the music channels like MTV and Much Music back in the day. And that was, it was Kenna's.
Back when you were a toddler?
Yeah, when I was about 2-3 years old. Most kick-ass toddler you've ever seen. But it was Kenna's Hellbent, which is also a really cool song. And also that album is really baller. Yeah, that album is really good. New Sacred Cow. So also I've been bumping that a little bit this week. But I guess now you can only find it. It's Mark Osborne's More is how it's labeled now. And it's just got its own soundtrack behind it now. It's not Kenna's anymore. But it's a cool stop motion claymation kind of vibe as well. It's always stuck out in my mind. And I think it's still really quality short. It's less than 10 minutes. You can watch that on YouTube. And I would recommend that you do that, especially if you are into Mad God or Tool videos. I also, oh my God, talking about that time era, man, I was the most kick-ass toddler. So for some reason, I don't remember why, maybe I was on shuffle or something, but a Linkin Park song came up and I went back and I guess their Hybrid Theory album turned 20 in 2020. They released this 20th anniversary for it. It's got like 80 songs on it, which was this huge blast from the past, because Linkin Park is the first band I can remember where I would go out on fucking like Morpheus and shit and get like unreleased and like demo tracks and shit like that, collecting them. And they had them
DBZ edits, fan edits.
And they had them all on there, like 1997 demos and shit. And I respect the shit out of that because I'm one of those people who keeps everything, even though the quality is complete dog shit. I have to have it. And for them to release it in an official capacity, I've like respected the hell out of it. Also, I heard some songs that I had on old burned CDs that I hadn't heard in forever. And so it was just a lot of fun to go back and listen to those things. I was like, man, so much respect for those guys for like releasing all of this. A lot of it's very rough quality, but it's cool. It's cool to listen to. So yeah, I was bumping that, the old Linkin Park. So yeah, I think that's about all I have been watching and listening to and all that. Robert, what you been watching, my guy?
Oh, hello. I watched Crimes of the Future, the latest from Daddy Berg.
Oh shit!
Daddy,
I forgot to bring that up.
Yeah, you saw it too?
Yeah.
Pretty good, pretty solid Cronenberg installment. It's got some really interesting ideas that it's playing with. A lot of like similar themes that Cronenberg has always been known to play with like the evolution of human beings, and also taking things that shouldn't necessarily be erotic and making them extraordinarily erotic. Just the normal, the normal stuff.
Zipper neck.
Oh, yeah. There's it's not my favorite Cronenberg, but it's definitely worth checking out, I think. I don't know, we might end up covering it. I'm not totally sure. But I'd give it a recommend. We'll just kind of leave it at that. I also watched Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey, and it's horrible. Just a nightmare situation. Yeah. I don't know that I really recommend it.
That dude's voice is so creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. As soon as, like, anytime they show an image of him or you hear him say anything, you just, like, know it's a person that you should not ever trust. Like, immediately can tell.
Also, he kind of looks inbred.
He's got a weird vibe.
Definitively, probably not, because out of the 60 women, almost none of them are going to be related to you.
Yeah.
Almost none.
I guess so. True. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
60 wives. You got to pick of the litter there.
Yeah. Docuseries on Netflix that we mentioned last week. It's up there if you want to learn about, I guess, extreme Mormons, or like, I don't know. I forget what they call them.
Fundamentalists.
Mormons. Yeah.
FDR or whatever. I forget the acronym.
Nope.
It's FLDS.
Yeah,
FLDS.
Yes. Yeah, that's the one.
That pedophile FDR.
He had 60 wives. That's fact. I saw it on Netflix. FLDS.
Delano, you gotta watch him.
Florida Drivers School. Yeah, that's what the documentary is all about. Yeah, that was rough. That was rough to get through. I also watched another docuseries also on Netflix called Web of Make Believe, which is
how is that?
It's well made. It's hard to get through some of the episodes because it's dealing with some pretty tough topics. It's 6 parts. The first 4 are like one-off stories, and then the parts 5 and 6 is like a 2-parter. So there's a bunch of different stories, and it's all about people using the internet for heinous acts. Some of them are about people like doxing each other, blackmailing people. The 2-parter is largely about just like scamming the government for money, tax fraud. Basically, it's like a 2-parter about tax fraud. And they interview the people, like in all of these, they interview the people that were directly involved in them, and a lot of times the people that were on the wrong side of the law as well. So it's kind of interesting to hear about, but also some of the stories are a little bit like grim and hard to get through. But I mean, you can like read a little synopsis of each one, and if it sounds like something you don't really want to get into, you can skip it. I found it to be interesting, definitely eye-opening. It's crazy what some people can do with the fucking internet, but that's on Netflix. Web of Make Believe. Turns out everything I watched this week was also pretty damn grim. So there you go.
Damn. I
Way to swim in the filth with me.
Yeah.
I just watch cat gifs on my internet.
Just hours at a time.
That's disgusting. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself.
What a monster.
I'm
Jesus
not.
Christ.
I'm proud.
I've always been a creeper.
That's going to conclude what we've been watching this week. We got one more segment to get into, and that is, of course, our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got 3 voicemails this week. I think we were talking about like what people are most anticipating as far as like horror releases for the second half of the year. And also asking people, I think, what their favorite of the year so far has been. We're going to hear some of those answers. First up, Alex K. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, what up, boys? It's Alex K. Just to keep it plain and simple, going off the prompt from last week. My favorite horror movie of the year so far is You Won't Be Alone. But on the other hand, my favorite theater-going experience right now has got to be Men. Only because I took the girlfriend to go see it, and she was not having it. The last 20 minutes, she was looking down the whole time, and just a simple gold comedy right there. But for what I'm most excited for next is probably The Black Phone, and then whenever Ty West decides to put Pearl out. Other than that, I think Panthos Cosmos is coming out with another movie this year too, so hopefully that's good. And then the Cabinet of Curiosities is also on my list. But yeah, those 3 probably do it. You guys have a great night. See you later.
Thanks, Alex. Juice, you were a big fan of that. What was the movie?
I know. I was so happy for somebody else to mention it because it feels like it's not being seen, but it's like probably my favorite one this year too. You Won't Be Alone.
You Won't Be Alone.
So I'm glad to hear somebody else say that that was one of their favorites. So good.
So far, I have not heard a bad thing about it. So
yeah, good.
Nice. I didn't know Panos Cosmatos was putting a new movie out this year. Whatever that is, I'm very much looking forward to that. I mean, Mandy was a slam dunk, so let's see what he's got next.
That was 2018 too, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's been a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's another Spectravision joint. I feel like it has to be, probably. Elijah Wood's writing the checks. I don't know if anybody else would do that for old Panos.
Oh, Elijah.
And then Pearl. I had forgotten that Pearl was coming out.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to come out this year?
Supposed to, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Because they filmed it simultaneously, I believe.
Yeah, and we also mentioned too that Ty West could be on 2 spots on the top 10 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Ty, leave some for the rest of everybody.
If it's not a Fool's Pearl, then we should expect.
Oh, boy.
I know. That was a good one.
Oh, boy.
Can I get one up top for that one?
No.
Up top.
I want it on the record that I was left hanging.
Let's see. It just feels like every week there's more and more movies coming out that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, man.
A lot of shit.
I looked at the trailer for that Bodies that was brought up last week.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to enjoy that one.
I think I watched it too, but I already forgot about it.
It's like, hey, let's take the most painfully obvious and overtold jokes from Twitter and make a movie around them.
Maybe
that's what
cautiously optimistic. I'm not like a big fan of Pete Davidson though, so like I don't know. Maybe he's like a small role in it. Hopefully,
he's like the most famous person that I can't escape hearing about that I know almost nothing about. So it's also he's a blind spot for me.
I definitely don't hate him. He just seems to he's kind of one note. He seems to be a very similar character in whatever he does, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We got 2 more voicemails. Next up, we're hearing from our good friend, the librarian. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hey, y'all. Excuse my voice. I found out last night that I have COVID. I'm currently suffering from COVID. I actually have symptoms. It's very annoying. Anyway, I just watched the movie version of The Ruins, and it was accurate to like the main plot of like Sentient Vine, but the biggest changes were character like death and injury orders, which was annoying, but it's like obviously again you cannot copy and paste the book into the screenplay. However, The ending was completely different, and it honestly pissed me off. I'm going to try and do the voice. Spoiler warning. Anyway, spoilers. I understand if you want to play the end of my voicemail even, but in the book, nobody escapes. Like, everybody fucking dies. And Stacy's the last one to survive, and she doesn't even survive. She ends up dying, but like she's the last one standing, essentially. But it really annoyed me because Amy's death was so fucking horrifying that I was like, ooh, I need to see this on screen. And then they didn't do it. And I was like, I guess I don't need to see this on screen. But, yeah, anyway, as for the prompt, the movie I'm most excited for, it's not coming out this year, but Robert Eggers is redoing Nosferatu, and I'm fucking ready. I'm like, all right, what weird shit you gonna concoct now, my man? Yeah, so, y'all have a good one. Don't get COVID. Wear a mask. Get vaccinated if you haven't. And, yeah. Bye!
That sucks. You got COVID.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't feel too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ruin seems like it did not help very much.
Sorry. Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be as good as the book because it just, rarely is. But it was a decent enough horror movie for me because I had nothing to compare it to. But yeah, sorry, it was underwhelming overall.
Yeah. I'm also looking forward to that Nosferatu a lot.
So I don't think that is 100% happening. Whenever the Northman came out, I was reading an interview with Eggers, and he was saying, like, who knows if it's ever going to happen.
Really? I thought then there was new news that it was confirmed.
Yeah, it wasn't, and then it was, and now it's like, who the fuck knows, is sort of the last that I saw about it.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe it's because the Northman didn't do so hot. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe they're gonna have to inject some Spider-Man into the Nosferatu movie to sell it.
Spider-Man.
There's not enough Spider-Man in this. I'm sorry. Can we put a Spider-Man?
I know he's a vampire and there's like a bat theme, but can we just make him shoot webbing out of his hands?
Oh my lord!
We'll just call it Morbius 2, and we'll call it a day.
Even more.
It's Morbin time.
Shit.
Nope. You guys are late on that one. Damn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not on the tweeter.
You're probably better off.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, Librarian. Take care of yourself. Stay hydrated. Eat some soups. I like a good soup. Anyways, we got one more voicemail. Yeah, it does. We got one more voicemail.
I like a good soup.
I do.
That's a change the subject bump coming to you soon.
We're going to hear from our boy Grubby. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's Grubby again. Just wanted to follow up from the question that you guys asked 2 weeks ago. And about, the upcoming movies I'm most excited for. I'm also very sorry about, not introducing myself at the Overlook Film Festival. Maybe we talked while you guys were in line. I was one of the volunteer workers for the fest, and I probably stuck out the most because I was the one covered in tattoos. So maybe we talked, and I'm sorry, but maybe we'll see each other again down the line, and we can talk more about horror movies. But a few more things I wanted to bring up. Sorry if it becomes overbearing, but this is kind of like what I do for my friends all the time. They always ask me about new movies because I go and volunteer for all these film festivals. A couple I wanted to bring up were more crime thrillers, and one is Holy Spider, which is from the director that did Border from 2018. And the other movie I wanted to bring up was Decision to Leave, which is the new movie from, got his name here, Park Chan-wook, who did, The Handmaiden and I believe Old Boy as well, along those lines. But, they're more crime thrillers. Did like Stoker. Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't do. Oh, yeah, he did do Old Boy. Okay. Something else I wanted to bring up, too. I just watched it through Tribeca Film Fest online at home, was A Wounded Fawn from the director Travis Stevens, who did A Girl on the Third Floor and Jacob's Wife. I highly recommend that one. Maybe it's still available to watch online. So if you guys get a chance to think it was like $15 to watch, and you can do it from your own home. Surprised nobody said Halloween Ends. I just kind of want it to be done and over with, just to see the final battle, and maybe we can put this to bed. And then the other one that's probably more for 2023, might get a festival run here at the late end of the year, is Infinity Pool from Brandon Cronenberg, who did Possessor. So that's a few of the other movies that I look forward to. And obviously, Knives Out 2, Glass Onion. Kind of a weird name, but really look forward to the new murder mystery from Ryan Johnson. So keep doing what you guys are doing. Love listening to you while I'm doing bullshit at work. You know, it gets me through the day. So thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Grubby. And yeah, I was giving you shit last time. It's cool. We'll run into each other soon, I'm sure. But that was a lot of fucking movies that I was not aware of. I mean, a few of them I was. I still haven't seen Jacob's Wife, and that's on my list. And certainly excited to see any new Knives Out content. I'm on board for that. But aside from that, man, yeah, I was largely unaware of a lot of those films. Even the films used as context, I did not know. So, real professionals over here.
Give me that new Brandon Cronenberg Infinity Pool.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
all about that shit.
Yeah, that sounds, because he did, Synchronic was last year or 2020?
Possessor. Yeah.
I'm Possessor. Not Synchronic. God, that movie sucked. Possessor. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mix those up. Possessor's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that. Hopefully that drops in December. I want to say Possessor was like a weird December release, like very late in the year, too.
It was late, yeah.
So yeah,
November.
Maybe we'll be talking about that in December. That would be a nice, uplifting Christmas time movie. I'm sure.
I'm sure.
If it's anything like Possessor, it's going to be a real holly jolly affair.
It's a light romp.
There's one I always forget. They dropped a trailer for it recently, which is weird that I'm kind of excited about it because I do not give a shit about the Predator franchise, like at all. I don't care anything about it. But that Prey movie, I think I just like the idea of taking a well-established, especially sci-fi property and putting it in the past. I just think that's kind of a smart, clever move. I hope they pull it off. But
I think it just works for that particular, like somebody said, and this is so true to me, that seems like, I think it was Thomas on our Slack channel said that it reminded him of like a Predator comic book, like one-off series. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. And that's all it needs to be. If they have to, and God knows they do, go back to the well, then please like do something really like kind of outlandish and do it as well as you can. I'm happy with that. I am way more excited about that than I am Halloween Kills. I'm sorry.
Ends.
Even the idea of it being over and in the ground, that's fool's gold, buddy. That franchise is never going anywhere.
It's evergreen. That's for sure. Money talks.
Oof.
Yeah, the Predator movie, I don't give a shit. It's just not for me. The series as a whole is just fine, you know.
I love that first one in particular.
Have we covered the first Predator?
Yeah.
We need to put that on
in the original archive, I think.
Oh, okay. So we can put that on our redo list then.
Yeah, it's
classics.
It's an OG. We did that and Predators. So I think so.
I remember doing Predators. Yeah. That one's got old guy from 70s show. What's like
Topher.
Yeah, Topher Grace. Oh my lord.
You're gonna die, clown!
Yeah.
All right.
That new Park Chan-wook movie comes out next week in Korea, at least. Nice. It was at the Pekans Film Festival, but it's some kind of murder mystery. June 29th, which means I probably won't be able to see it with English subtitles until like September. So that's awesome.
No, that sucks. You gotta wait that long.
Yeah,
that does suck.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Just learn Korean faster. That's all.
Yeah, that's all I got to do.
It's just that simple.
Absorb knowledge faster. Now, do it.
Just do it. It's being done.
Thanks for calling in, Grubby. Always good to hear from you, man. Thanks for all those recommendations, too. Again, if you guys are listening, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Drop us that sweet, sexy voicemail. You guys have any prompts you want to throw out for next week?
We're like 2 weeks away from spooky season, the official straight chillin' spooky season. Yeah. What are you doing? I've already seen some posts about, finding some autumn decorations in some of the little stores, the arts and crafts stores and whatnot. I forget what they're called, but Home Plus and whatnot, or
Home Plus cost good.
Nailed it time. That's it.
Whatever those places. Yeah. So I don't know. You getting ready for spooky season ramping up?
Yeah.
I, for one, planted some pumpkin seeds today for some germination.
I was gonna do that today and then ran out of time.
I stole your idea.
No, you gonna plant them where the palm tree was?
You were successful. No, we have like a little garden box out back.
Is it hard to grow pumpkins?
Speak English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
I was gonna find out.
Yeah. All right, boys, grow some good pumpkins.
Oh yeah.
Pumpkins.
Going for gold.
Then ship me some to Korea.
I will shit you some pumpkins to Korea.
Thank you.
I kind of want to know, like, we did the best of the year and what everybody's looking forward to. What was like the stinker of the year? You seen a movie?
The biggest disappointment?
Yeah, the biggest disappointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Mangs so far.
Mangs?
I think so.
I haven't.
Just because I hold Alex Garland in such high regard, I wanted more. Annihilation was so good. Ex Machina is so good to me.
Yeah.
I think Manx was just kind of a disappointment.
Yeah. Hit us up. Let us know if there's something that just kind of bummed you out. Holler at us. Yeah, that's going to do it this week for us at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show. As always, we're going to be hitting up a new release. We're going to be talking about the highly anticipated The Black Phone.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for some Kevin Bacon, baby.
Apparently that's a common confusion.
Incorrect.
I was talking about this last night with some people and I was like, is it Ethan Hawke? And I couldn't remember. And somebody's like, oh, you mean Kevin Bacon? I was like, no, but that's crazy that you said that. Like,
I did that on the Slack with the new Marvel show where I called Ethan Hawke Kevin Bacon's the villain or whatever. Dude, they look so similar.
They look pretty similar.
They do.
They kind of exist in a similar brain space for me. For sure.
That Hawk Bacon. Let me get that.
What the fuck?
Throwing out some Hawk Bacon. Damn.
Yeah.
With the power of the hawk.
So check out The Black Phone. Eat up some Hawk Bacon. Get nice and strong. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Hit us up on Twitter at STR8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on our daily Slack channel conversations, just hit us up on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
We're gonna get done, dudes!